Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome into another edition of the Anaheim Ducks post-game show here on the Halos in the Infield Network. I'm Dominic Lorenz of Catella Chronicles, riding solo tonight after an absolutely crappy, unenthusiastic, boring, what the heck was that kind of game. I had a horrible feeling that tonight would feel like a trap game, and by George, it was a definite trap game tonight as the Ducks fall to the Vancouver Canucks, who are last place in the Pacific Division, by the final of 2-0. It'll be a very different post-game show tonight, probably much quicker, not too much to go over, more venting than anything else, but it's plain and simple tonight for the Anaheim Ducks. It's the back end, game 5 of a 5-game road trip that you've been on since last week. I get it. The legs are a little noodleish. You're ready to get back home to Honda Center for 2 games before the Olympic break, but I don't care. Absolutely zero excuse for the performance tonight from the Anaheim Ducks. As I just mentioned, they looked unenthusiastic. They looked bored. They looked lazy. Everything that could go wrong in a trap game went wrong for the Ducks, and the goal allowed, I'm not counting the empty netter at the very end because we don't count those, but the goal that was the game winner for Vancouver late in the third period, that was a disgrace that Dostal let that go by. That was absolutely no reason for that goal. You had positioned well. The guy tipped his hand of where he was going, and you just botched it and let it go in. So to me, all-around performance, absolute crapshoot. This was a game I was worried about on the back end of a road trip against a crappy team in the NHL. And within your division, we've talked about this at length lately. You'll do better when you take care of business and fate is in your hands and you're playing your divisional teams. Tough loss the other night against Edmonton. You played well, didn't work out in your favor with some unlucky breaks. Tonight, a couple of unlucky breaks. However, to me, the uncharacteristic, unenthusiastic, boring, lazy, sloppy, crappy play is exactly what doomed the Ducks tonight in a 2-0 loss in Vancouver to end this road trip. Absolutely, unequivocally unacceptable performance from a team right now that is third place in the Pacific Division. And now with the Kraken winning tonight, San Jose getting a point in overtime against Edmonton, Edmonton winning, the Ducks are now skating literally on thin ice, heading back to Honda Center with 2 pivotal games against Las Vegas, who they've beaten twice. And you know that game's going to be on ESPN Sunday Night Hockey, 6:30. I'll be there at Honda Center to support the Anaheim Ducks. But they definitely need to put together a much better product if you're going to go play Vegas on Sunday at home. I know Troy Terry was in Vancouver today practicing with the team, so hopefully he's back with the Ducks on Sunday. But the Ducks are not done. They got Vegas Sunday, Tuesday against Seattle, and then it's the Olympic break. By virtue of losing 2 in a row, the Ducks need to now win the next 2. No doubt about it. They must win 2 games. I don't care how it gets done. The Ducks need to come out with a completely different persona because tonight's game was absolutely, unequivocally unacceptable. Bear none. No one can fight me on it. To lose to Vancouver not once, but now twice this season in 2 matchups. No, sorry. No. Sorry, but that is unacceptable. And I don't care that the Ducks outshot Vancouver 33-26 tonight. That does not tell the tape of this game. The 33 shots, I would say at least 25 of them were the softest shots I've ever seen. There was not many grade A scoring chances. The Vancouver goalie did what you need to do to win this game. And yes, he's going to get the shutout and look like the messiah for this day for Vancouver. But the Ducks did not fight him well, pressure him. It was a lot of initial shots, no rebounds, no fighting, no deflected. I think that was absolutely disgraceful to allow Vancouver to get this kind of game and come out with the win. So the Ducks lose 2-0 tonight. No goals to talk about for the Ducks, so the horn is being put away tonight. But it was O'Connor in the third period with 10:18 to go. The shot that Dostal should have saved. That was an easy save for Dostal going from his right to his left. The shooter and O'Connor completely gave that puck away of where he was going with it. And the initial pass that he got was a bad luck break for the Ducks that deflected off of Trouba into just open ice that created that pass. So tough luck again for the Ducks. And then the empty netter shorthand style after the slashing penalty. The Ducks looked slow. They looked weak. They just looked on the bench. You saw near the end of that third period, being on the back end of a road trip. I get it. 5 games on the road is not easy. I'm not disputing that. But the slumped over shoulders, the face of, are we out of here yet? Like, it's not going our way. We just want to hit the reset button. You just saw it on their face that whole third period that they had essentially given up in this game. And I get it. A lot of people checking in, especially our good friend Demetrio. The backup core got the most out of this group during the injury stretch. I agree. Yes, no Terry, no Carlson, no McTavish. Hopefully Terry comes back on Sunday, started practicing with the team. Maybe McTavish. We know Carlson probably won't be, or not probably, will not be back until after the Olympic break. So the Ducks are rolling with what they have at this point. But still, if you can win 7 in a row with this backup squad, quote unquote, you should be able to beat Vancouver. And that's kind of the differential at that point. And Demetrio, I'm right there with you. Pissed off. Absolutely ridiculous. Why in the heck did we switch out people when the puck was going towards Dostal? Again, caught in the middle of a break, as I mentioned. The pass from the Ducks ricochets off the board, off Trouba, and just into the middle of the ice where no one's home. So kind of, again, tough luck situation. But we've seen Dostal basically do a handstand in the blue paint and save games for the Ducks. That was one of the softest goals I've seen Dostal given up this season. And that was absolutely unacceptable. Grillmaster gets you. You get out what you put into it, which was 0 goals. You get 0 goals. You get 0 effort. And uncharacteristic play from the Anaheim Ducks tonight as they get shut down and shut out in Vancouver 2-0. Zellweger has stunk lately, not liking his decisions. His age is showing, in my opinion. I would say right now, we know we've talked about our defense being a weaker spot for the Anaheim Ducks of late. However, I really, really, truly believe that Zellweger has been one of the weaker defenders for the Ducks in this latest stretch of games. I would say especially maybe the month of January, you have to really go back and kind of see where the Ducks have been and the statistical breakdown of how defense is played. But I would definitely say Zellweger needs to find a way to pick up the pace. The Ducks drafted him high. They had put a lot of faith into him. Is Zellweger a guy where if the Ducks need to make a trade here in the upcoming trade deadline on March 6th, is he kind of that wave the white flag kind of surrender type player to get somebody middle of the road or a big name player? I know everybody's going to be talking about Artemin Panarin at this point, Panarin, tomato. Honestly, the more reports I read, I don't think he's coming to the Ducks. I know they're going to want to trade and a long-term extension. I don't know if the Ducks feel that might be the right case scenario at this point. Who knows? Maybe this little losing streak will kind of change the brain of Pat Verbeek a little bit, and he'll kind of sulk a little bit in this Olympic break upcoming next week, and maybe that'll light the fire under Pat Verbeek. We'll get into that near the end of the show, and we'll talk about what is to come for the Anaheim Ducks. But tonight, horrible loss, 2-0 to Vancouver. They outshoot the Canucks 33-26. Don't be fooled. Too many soft shots, less opportunities that were grade A style. The Ducks were beat in the face-off circle. Both teams go 0 for 3 on the power play. The Ducks were better physical over Vancouver, 21-10 on the hits. Even block shots, 13 apiece. The Ducks gave away the puck 12 times to 11. Had 3 takeaways, but that was it. 9-9 first period in shots on goal. 14-8 in favoring of the Ducks in the second. 10-9 in favor of the Ducks. 33-26 overall in favor of Anaheim. But overall, it was just soft shot after soft shot. No rebound, no traffic. Just very blasé hockey by Anaheim. And again, I get it. You're on the back half of a road trip. But that does not mean you lose to a divisional team. That when you open up the dictionary and look at the term suckfest and just sucking hard this year, I know a lot of people are going to take that out of context. I thought about it as I just said it. Let's not go there. But when you're talking about a team that's absolutely doing dismal right now, that is the Vancouver Canucks, and you just let them beat your ass into oblivion for the second time. It was 5-2 in Anaheim back about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and now this. Unacceptable. You need to win these games, and that is not the way to essentially waste a 1 point or even a 2 point night and keep a track in the Pacific Division standings. Let's quickly get into it because there's no scoring to talk about. So let's get into the quote unquote 3 stars of the game. Well. The time has come for tonight's 3 stars of the game presented by me, Dominic of Catella Chronicles, riding solo tonight after the Ducks lose by the final of 2-0 to wrap up the 5-game road trip. They got massive wins to extend that winning streak early on against Colorado. That was the big one of the bunch, right? A 2-1 win in Colorado in a shootout. And then you go to Seattle, a team you had not played well against this year, get a win. You go to Calgary, win last second, Seneca's hat trick. Then a tough luck game in Edmonton, and then this disastrous game in Vancouver. Just a way to tailspin this road trip. So the Ducks go 3-2 overall, get 6 points out of a possible 10, which what Todd and I had talked about last week after the win against the New York Rangers would be bare minimum on this road trip. And we thought, Edmonton, Colorado might be the losses or pity point type mentality, and Vancouver was a lock. Well, you kind of flip that. You win a game you maybe shouldn't have against Colorado, and then you lose a game you probably shouldn't have won, or you should have won against Vancouver. So tough night all around. Ducks go 3-2 on this 5-game road trip, have 2 more games before the Olympic break. Sunday, 6:30, Vegas Golden Knights come into Honda Center. It's going to be a ruckus crowd, probably sold out. I'm going to be in attendance. It's going to be fun. My first game since the Ducks beat the Panthers all the way back in November. So it'll be a long time since I've been in Honda Center, but looking forward to that. The Teemu Solani bobblefoot, skateboard, mini tech deck night. So it's going to be a fun night in Honda Center, but a massive must-win type situation for the Ducks. They need it after this loss. You could have had a little wiggle room with the win tonight, but absolutely need a win on Sunday against Vegas. That game was on ESPN, so it's going to be a primetime game under the lights. And then the Seattle Kraken come into town on Tuesday before the Ducks go on that 2.5-week break for the Olympics in Italy. Some of the Ducks players are going to be going over and representing their own countries. So best of luck to them, but there's still 2 games and 4 points at stake. And the goal before the Olympic break, hit 60 points. That was the bare minimum goal. And with this loss tonight, they are now in a tie for 3rd place with the Seattle Kraken, who won tonight, both with 58 points. And what's crazy, for the first time in a long time, the Ducks, who had the most wins in the Pacific Division, not points, but just in the win column, Edmonton getting their 28th win tonight. The Ducks are now at 28. So that long streak of the Ducks having the best record in the win column within the Pacific Division, even not being in first place for the last month and a half, has now been put themselves in a tie. The Ducks 28-23-3 overall this year, and Vancouver picks up their 18th win of the season in just a disastrous game for the Anaheim Ducks. Again, unenthusiastic, boring, lazy, slow, you name it, the Ducks had it tonight, and it was just not the right combination for what needed to be done in this game, trying to wrap up the road trip on a winning note. But the 3 stars of the game tonight, after my little tangent, the number 3 star of the game, I will give it to one Duck, and that's going to be Alex Killorn. Alex Killorn has really stepped up as a veteran over the last, I would say, 3-4 weeks. Even in the midst of that 9-game losing streak, he stepped up in a massive manner with the Toronto out and not playing well this year. Strome, who's been in and out of the lineup, and the Ducks getting just decimated by injuries to big, young core member players, Terry, McTavish, Carlson. And the Ducks have been led by Seneca and Cutter Gauthier, and that's great. And Jackson Lacombe, but where are your veterans? And to me, if I had to pluck 2 veterans this year, it's definitely been Trouba and Killorn. but Killorn lately has definitely put himself on the map. He continues to go on out, stay physical. When Zellweger took an unnecessary hit from Elias Peterson late in the third period, which I thought should have been a 2-minute roughing penalty, he stepped up, threw his stick down, and got Peterson off of him quickly, off of the young Zellweger. So to be there for the younger guys, I don't know what it's going to take. But right now, Dimitri, I just seen your comment now. Strome and Killorn might get shipped out. I don't think so. I think Strome over Killorn for sure. If I had to pick one, let one go and, keep and let go another. Strome's gone. Killorn stays. I just think, I still think he has something left in the tank. And it's kind of that, the forward physicality, the leadership role that he kind of shows, because Radko Gudas is on his last end of a deal. He's probably not going to come back next season. Vetrano's still under contract. Strome's going to be gone. This team's going to need some veterans to stick around and figure things out. Trouba's contract, I believe, either has the end of this year or next year. But regardless, I would keep Killorn and trade Strome. I don't know how much value they're going to have to teams that will call in, but if the Ducks need to get something and give something, who knows what the case scenario might be for the one and only Pat Verbeek, who's got to make those decisions at the end of the day. The number 2 star of the game goes to the game-winning goal for the Vancouver Canucks, Drew O'Connor. Soft shot, gets lucky. Dostal forgets how to play goal for a minute, and a puck that just kind of stays loose, gives Vancouver the opportunity. Drew O'Connor gets his 13th goal of the year. And the number 1 star of the game, even though it was easy work, it was Nikita Tolopilo. Pardon me. Nikita Tolopilo, the goaltender for Vancouver tonight. He goes 100% saves, which is absolutely ridiculous. The Ducks 33 shots. He makes 33 saves. Yeah, the goal was to go top shelf tonight. The Ducks couldn't elevate the puck anywhere, get traffic in front of the net. It just felt like a lazy, uncharacteristic, unenthusiastic performance from this Anaheim team. So there's your 3 stars of the game tonight. Ducks lose, so that means the losing team, who is the hoser of the night, that stunk up the joint in a 2-0 loss. I could give this to many people. Or let me rephrase that. I could give this to the entire Ducks team for that whole situation. However, I'm thinking, I want to give it to one person, but I also want to give it to the whole team. So we'll do both. Why not? Because they're a part of the whole team. I'm going back and forth with it in my mind. But the player I'm singling out right now, unfortunately, is Dostal. The goal given up by Lukáš Dostal to make it 1-0 Vancouver. Way too soft. You got to be better, bud. That it just can't happen. The guy tipped where he was going to go. He was leaning away. You knew he was going to your left, and you just didn't get over there with the puck fluttering. No, sorry. In my opinion, I think there needed to be a stronger save to keep this game. When you know your team is struggling at this point, and the Ducks had shots on goal. Yes, they had 33, but to me, it was a lot of soft shots tonight. You knew every save was going to be important, even if it got the Ducks to overtime 0-0, and if they lost in overtime, at least you got the point. To me, that shot with no traffic in front of you cannot get by when tied 0-0. So to me, Dostal gets the hoser of the game, but the Ducks entirely get a hoser of the game. A poor performance against the worst team in the Pacific Division. Unacceptable. I'm being bitter tonight here, folks. You've seen me in losses try to be as positive as possible. But tonight, it's one of those games where the Ducks just sucketh. It's unfortunate. It really is at the end of the day, and I kind of look on over to the Instagram side of things. Kevin Moore, so many right in the slot, and they pass kind of mentality. I get it. The Ducks had opportunity to kind of drop the hammer and just fire it off, and it was a little too pass happy tonight. Shoot the puck, and that's why I say Don't be fooled by 33 shots on goal tonight. A lot of them were soft, unenthusiastic type play tonight by the Anaheim Ducks. So a 2-0 loss. How does this set up Anaheim moving forward? Well, guess what? They got a big game on Sunday. They got to have 2 days. Learn from this. It's going to be a very sour flight home tonight. Relish in this moment. Absorb the loss. Beat yourself up over it. And take your energy out on Vegas on Sunday. That's what I'm going to want from this Ducks team. From the moment you step on the ice Sunday for warm-ups against Vegas, you know you've beaten Vegas twice in dramatic fashion, both in overtime by the final of 4-3. Vegas wants your head. They're in first now battling with the Edmonton Oilers. They want our head on a silver platter. We're coming off a loss against one of the worst teams in hockey. We need to have a juxtaposition and come out on that ice completely confident, physical, smart. Everything that happened tonight, do the opposite. Just completely be the opposite of where you were tonight in Vancouver. And it's a must-win situation. The Ducks need to lock in, figure it out, and get this win because you do not want to start trending on a downward spiral going into a 2.5-week break because certain players are going to the Olympics. The others are going to be home with family. Yeah, they're going to work out and kind of rest their bodies a little bit for the playoff push at the end of this month, March, and especially April. But the Ducks, that playoff window is getting tight. Looking at the NHL standings right now, especially in the Western Conference, we have Vegas, Edmonton, Seattle, top 3 in the Western Conference Pacific Division. Colorado, Minnesota, Dallas, top 3 in the Central. The wild card positions, Utah with 60 points and Anaheim with 59. But look who's trailing up the rear. San Jose, 1 point behind us. Vegas, 2 points behind us. All of a sudden, the Nashville Predators, who were dead in the water back in early December, the worst team in hockey, has found themselves just 5 points out of a postseason spot. Then you have Chicago with 51 points, and then Winnipeg and below has 49. Winnipeg, a team that's kind of was in the dumps for a very long time, and all of a sudden has brought themselves from 32nd in the league all the way now to 29, but the way the East versus the West piles up, they're right in the thick of it for the postseason. If it started right now, guess what? The Ducks would be facing the Colorado Avalanche in the postseason. Yikes. That's going to be a little crazy. Let's not get there. I like to be top 3 in this division, but Vegas and Edmonton might be in their own little group at this point. But it's going to be a battle to me between Seattle, Anaheim, San Jose, and the Kings for that final third-place position. And to me, the Ducks beat the Kings 3 out of 4 times. They've split against San Jose and have lost 2 of 3 to Seattle. They still have Seattle next week, of course, next Wednesday before the Olympic break. And Andrew Rivas, absolutely, I agree with you. Thanks for checking on into the Halos in the Infield Anaheim Ducks postgame podcast. This was an ugly-ass game. 100%. Absolutely. I agree with you, fella. Absolutely, Andrew. That was a ugly game, to say the least. It was uncharacteristic, unenthusiastic, boring, lazy, sloppy, you name it, it was. But looking at the Ducks' schedule moving forward into the month of February, they play Vegas, Seattle, and then coming out of the Olympic break, they play Edmonton, Winnipeg. Winnipeg's not a divisional team, but you have Edmonton right out the gate. Then in March, you have a lot of home games, so that's going to be a good sign. You got Calgary, divisional team. Colorado, tough matchup. New York Islanders, Montreal Canadiens, and St. Louis. That's that massive homestand coming out of the Olympic break. So after tonight, which is now over in a 2-0 loss to Vancouver, the Ducks officially do not go on another road game until March the 10th in Winnipeg for a 4-game Canadian trek. Winnipeg, Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal. Crazy, right? After March 1st against the Calgary Flames, the Ducks do not play a divisional team until 23 days later back in Vancouver against the Canucks. It'll be a 3-game Canadian road trip against familiar teams, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton. So after this 4 or 5 game stretch, Vegas, Seattle, Edmonton, Calgary. 4 of your next 5 games, pre and post Olympic break, divisional teams. You don't see division until end of March. And then when you get into April, you see a lot of teams. Like you're going to see San Jose twice in a home and home. You're going to see Calgary again. You're going to see Vancouver again. You end the year in Nashville, a team that has kind of risen from the ashes a little bit. So the Ducks, they got to get serious a little bit, and you can't drop a bomb of a game like this and play this bad. I get it. It's the back end of a road trip. I'm not saying, this is a game that you're going to circle back on the calendar. We should have won. No doubt about it. This should have been 2 points. And hopefully that doesn't prevent the Ducks from being in third of the wild card or out of the postseason. Because games like this are going to not be the case in any or all shape and form. Because when that's the case, that's a massive problem. So the Ducks tonight fall the Vancouver Canucks by the final 2-0. Goals tonight, all Vancouver. O'Connor gets the game winner to make it 1-0, and then the empty netter kind of seals the deal, but just unenthusiastic, boring, lazy, sloppy kind of play. I've used those words a lot tonight, but that pretty much, and I'm pretty sure the Ducks are going to say the same thing in their post-game wrap-ups with the media. And, Joel Quenneville, you got to change the mindset at this point because you got a massive game in 2 days, Sunday night at home against the Vegas Golden Knights. And then Seattle, who's had your number of late. These 2 games are massive. The Ducks need all 4 points. You got to get 3 out of 4 points, but I would like to win 2, go on a little bit of a positive track before going into not the All-Star break, but the Olympic break this year, as all players will be going to Italy for the 2026 Winter Olympics. But the Ducks fall tonight by the final of 2-0. They slip into a tie for third in the Pacific Division. Vegas, 64 points. Edmonton, 64 points. There's a tie for first. Then you have the Ducks and the Kraken tied for third and 59 points. San Jose, 5th place, 58 points. The Kings, 6th place, 57 points. Then you have Calgary in 7th at 48 and Vancouver in last, 41. So it is a 2-point separation between third and 6th. And the Ducks want to be on the right side of it at the end of the day. But I'll be at the game on Sunday for the Ducks versus the Vegas Golden Knights. I need a ruckus crowd. The Ducks need to be into it. The players need to feed off that energy. Hopefully we get some injured players back like Troy Terry, who took practice today. We'll see about Mason McTavish. We know Leo Carlsson back after the Olympic break. And who knows? Panarin, the rumors are swirling. He's being benched for the next couple of games until after the Olympic break. Is a trade incoming? Some people are saying the Ducks might not be suitors. San Jose might be a suitor. A lot of rumors are going to be swirling over the next couple of days and probably during the Olympic break. But the trade deadline's March 6th. And I'm pretty sure after games like this, Pat Verbeek is diving into that magic ball of his and trying to figure out what is the right combination that will get the Ducks over a little bit of a hump and get back to their winning ways. After losing 9, they win 7, and now they've lost 2 in a row. So trying to ride the ship in the right direction. 2 more games before the Olympic break. Sunday, 6:30 at home against the Vegas Golden Knights, and then Tuesday, February the 3rd against the Seattle Kraken. Ducks got to find a way to do it, but we thank you for tuning on in to tonight's Anaheim Ducks post-game podcast on the Halos in the Infield Network with your host, Don McLorenz, riding solo tonight. But you can find us on all social media coverings, Halos in the Infield, as well as at Catella_CHRON. We are officially over the 1,000 follower mark, so thank you to the fans for making that possible. Halos in the Infield, they did that a very long time ago. Halos in the Infield is in year 5 of this awesome podcast covering Angels and Ducks. This is the first time full season we've gone deep into the Ducks, and we are loving every single moment. Even in tough games like tonight, got to bounce back. We get to chat with you, the fans, and we're so, so proud of it. For the fans, by the fans, thank you for tuning on tonight. If it's on Instagram, X, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you get your live streams, Halos in the Infield and Catella Chronicles is the place to get the job done. So once again, I'm Dominic Lorenzi, Catella Chronicles. Thanks for coming on to tonight's post-game show. Ducks lose by the final of 2-0, and somehow, some way, they got to get back-to-back wins before the Olympic break and get on a little bit of a positive track before having 2.5 weeks off. Got to win against teams in your division. And the Ducks still a long season to be played, but got to ride the ship in the right direction after tonight's 2-0 loss. But until Sunday night, Todd will be taking care of the post-game coverage because I'm going to be at Honda Center having a great time. Hopefully, I'm a little bit of a good luck charm. Haven't been to a game since November, so hopefully I'm 2-0 this season. Opening night and the 7-goal victory against the Florida Panthers. So hopefully I can make it 3-0 in attendance at Honda Center this year. But until then, enjoy the rest of your Thursday night. Cheer on those Ducks. Let's go, Ducks. Ducks fly together. And let's hopefully get a win on Sunday against the Vegas Golden Knights. Cheers, everybody.